This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
BTW, FYI. Visit Nexplanon.com RN to learn about Nexplanon. It's an adjustable implant, 68 milligrams radiopaque. Or ask your HCP IRL. Okay, TTYL.
The government of this country doesn't really care about the art. Like, it doesn't value them. That's why the maths teacher is teaching music.
101. Can I please welcome to the stage the guy himself?
Watch me rain. Watch me rain. Watch me rain. Watch me rain.
What's the last few days been like? How do you get into it? How do you get into the rhythm of the next stage of your life?
We're straight into it, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
No fun.
Well, I just want to say thank you lot for coming out, first of all. It feels, you know what I mean? It's weird to step on stage and not acknowledge everybody, first of all. So I just want to say thank you very much for coming out. We're going to start the same way we always start. That is with some light stretches, some meditation.
Should say, actually.
It's an inside joke if you've been to one of the live shows. If you haven't, then you won't know about it, eh?
Fire exits there. And that's a good point, actually. You can order drinks, alcohol-free drinks, alcohol drinks from your seat here. We want everyone to feel comfortable tonight. It's a conversation.
Yes.
It's storytelling.
But what was the question?
I don't know. I think I got nervous.
You said that what was the last couple of days been like?
Yeah, because you're kind of, it's second album, you're entering the next stage of your career, your life. Career and life is probably one and the same thing for you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much of a life. Of course,
it's music.
It's work. Yeah.
You wake up and you do the emails, or you go to the studio.
Everything. Yeah, all the time.
You do all the jobs.
All the jobs, all the time. But like the last couple of days, well, some of you know, I was violently ill over the last couple of days. So Thursday, the day before the album, we had like some billboards go up around London, which is quite cool, and that's like a thing that we never had before.
And they say something quite funny.
They do. So they've got a couple different quotes on them if you see them around. So we went and we had to like take some photos in front of the billboards and stuff. And I was trying to hold down all the sick that was in my stomach the day before the album come out, and I felt terrible. And then I got home and I was like, bleh. And then and then I crawled up into bed and just sweat as much as I possibly could out. And then Friday the album came out, and I was still pretty sick, and we had to do two shows back to back in Kingston. So one was in Prism, and then the other one was at Fighting Cocks. It was just across the road. And I very nearly threw up on stage, especially at the second show. But again, managed to push all the pizza and the pasta down. Because I thought pizza would be a good idea, which I think it was. And then I thought pasta would probably be a good idea as well, because you got to eat something. But then the pasta came and it had chili on it, and that weren't great. So yeah, and then we made it through, and it was good. And then yesterday we had a bit more of a relaxed day, where we went and did two album signings back to back, which was quite fun. And it's always nice to like meet people that are like listening to the record or they're about to listen to the record, and they're enthusiastic enough to come out and get it signed. So that's always nice. Do you know what I mean? So I feel quite blessed that we're getting the opportunity to meet lots of people like face to face and do that. And we have like more signings tomorrow, like in Liverpool we got signed, and then throughout the rest of the week we've got rough trade signings happening. Do you know what I mean? Throughout Bristol, Nottingham and London. So it's fun, man.
That personal connection. I mean, you live in a world of like TikTok and Instagram, and I felt you've got to be I used to think, oh my God, I don't want to post this thing because I feel like it feels maybe inauthentic. Maybe I'm putting on this show for me, trying to work out who I am, but working out what your voice is and being the most authentic you can be on socials. Because it's quite easy to forget that it's real people. These people that you're talking about coming up and signing the record, they're on Instagram. When you're chatting to people in real life, it's kind of the most incredible mobilization tool that there is.
Yeah.
Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah, I don't have TikTok, but because I don't know what I do on there. I don't dance really, so and I don't know what else is on TikTok, to be honest, except for dance moves. Maybe like I don't know, 30-second like informational videos of how to
make pasta
al dente style. Do you know what I mean?
How to floss.
And I already know how to floss and how to make al dente pasta. So
does it hurt you when you floss? Have you got, because there's that whole thing that you start but it's really painful, but it gets less painful as you go on, I've heard.
What, with flossing?
Yeah. And I'm not talking...
You're not talking like that.
No.
Floss. Like what my niece and nephews used to do. That's not cool anymore though. Yeah, there's new stuff in that. There's new stuff.
That's why they call it flossing, because that little bit of string, that's what it's doing between your teeth if you've got a microscope.
It's flossing. It's doing that little move. Yeah. I don't find it painful when I floss. I don't really have sensitive gums.
That's the quote.
I ain't got sensitive gums. I've got good teeth, man. Never had a cavity, never had a root canal or nothing like that.
And you brush them? You brush them day and night?
Oh, yeah, of course. Do you not?
No.
Yeah.
No, I brush them just at night time.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
I've never had problem, and now I've had two problems.
No, you don't.
No, I do, yeah.
Show of hands. Who here brushes their teeth morning and night? Who does it just morning? Wow. Who does it just night? Rah.
Who does it after a meal? Okay, yeah, all right. Good.
Oh, yeah, it's funny how people live differently. That's a pretty good sample size, I think, like for a survey. Yeah, mad, bro. But I'm glad that most people are with me in like the morning and night. That's kind of like, I feel like that's...
You grew up like hygiene. Is that because your family were hygienic? You were... Where did it come from, man?
I love that. Yeah, my family were quite hygienic, actually. I don't know.
I was on the farm. We were on the farm.
No, it's just that, though. Hold on, what were we talking about?
I think we were talking...
Oh, yeah, TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. That's what we were talking about.
Boring. That's a bad question for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't have TikTok. I do have Instagram. For me, though, like, I don't really... There's some things, obviously, that I don't share, but that's just because I wouldn't share them with strangers. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't tell anybody in this room, like, my address, because I don't know. Like, that's just, like, that's 101, right? I tell my daughter, don't talk to strangers. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't tell them personal things, like, whatever.
But serious point, like, when you're writing songs and you're connecting to people... Mm-hmm. You got to be truthful.
Yeah, I got to be truthful, and I am, of course. And like, but the thing is, I suppose, like, the difference in that is that, like, I feel like there's enough distance between myself and whoever is listening to the music. And again, like, it's going through so many things. Like, there's definitely, like, there's a song that didn't make it onto this album, for example, because I was like, it's actually too personal. I'm not ready to actually talk. It's about the loss of a friend. And I wasn't ready to hand that over to people. But a lot of like the music that I make is for myself. So like this album, same as every other album, is for myself because I want to listen to music that speaks directly to me, right? As we all kind of want to, right? Like we all listen to music because we feel like it's saying something to me or it's doing something for me. So that's why the music is kind of written about my life and personal experience and stuff like that, because I need it for myself, and then other people find benefit from it, and that's great. So of course, like I suppose I talk about personal things in my music, but only ever what I'm comfortable with. Do you know what I mean?
I guess you've got a few stages during recording that you can sit with something.
Yeah.
You're like, does that need to be changed?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. And there's like some words as well. And like, even, you know, I've got to think like my daughter is one day she's going to hear the music as well. And so like, I'm mindful of that
That's
as well.
That's a difficult thing because you in 10 years time, in 20 years time, you're going to be a different person.
Yeah, for sure.
To the person you are right now. Is that a consideration? I mean, it's kind of scary. I mean, I imagine you maybe not thinking about it doesn't help that much.
Well, I think like as an artist, there's people now that hear this album and think, I wish it was like We Live Here. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wish it was like the first album or whatever. We all have that with certain artists, do you know what I mean? Where we fall in love with them at a point and then maybe like they continue to grow and we stop growing with them. It's like, it's not like the first couple of albums or it's not like the last album they release or whatever it is. So yeah, like naturally I'm going to be a different person in whatever. I'll be a different person in a year from now. Do you know what I mean? But I want to make music that is personal to me. And if I was to die today or tomorrow, like something that like, again, my daughter could listen to and have an idea of like into like certain things in my life. Do you know what I mean? And I talk to her about me growing up and stuff as she gets older. Do you know what I mean? And like she asks me questions about my life and she has more of an interest in what were you doing when you were my age and what's, do you know what I mean? And so, but I suppose like the music is a more entertaining way to talk about those things.
Dance to it. You can sing along.
So, and it's like, I don't know, there's something different, you know, kind of talking about those things in music and listen to those things in music. And I think people seem to be getting something from it, you know, which is always good. So
yeah, I mean, this record, I mean, I just told you there before we went on stage, but you talked about how this record is to empower yourself. I think we feel empowered when we hear you empowering yourself. You know, that's the kind of human nature. When someone else is doing something for themselves, it kind of gives us a permission to do it for ourselves.
Yeah, I've definitely found that. That's one of the reasons why that the album is what the album is, because there are artists and creatives that I've looked to for inspiration outside of like the sonics and like what the music sounds like or the themes and the topics, and more of like how they conduct their business, for example. That's like a big one for me. And obviously like the independent nature of Bob Vylan. I look to other independent artists, to see how they're able to continue growing as an artist without compromising their morals or their ethics. I mean, in an industry and in a landscape that doesn't really provide you much opportunity to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like it's at every point is kind of trying to force you more and more and more into being something that you might not necessarily be. And so I look to those artists that have, you know, empowered themselves through an independent hustle, an independent nature, or whatever, an independent mindset, and I find great inspiration from that. You know,
that is exactly what this podcast is about. You know, it's not even just like being defiant as an independent artist. You know, because people do try and put their thumb on your head or try and define you, try and put you in a box, and that's for them and not for you. You know, sometimes it's funny how like the music industry, in my opinion, can actually kind of like eat itself and work against itself. There's not much celebration of people doing their own thing, and the people who have got through to the next stage or whatever that next stage is, it all comes to each and everyone's own definition of that. But it's those people who are just resilient, who are just stubborn. Do you feel like you've had to be stubborn?
Yeah, I said this the other day. I feel like I had to be delusional. I had to be delusional to believe in myself. I had to be delusional to think that this would work. because so many people told me that I wouldn't. And I suppose like I continue to be delusional, you know, because otherwise I don't think I would feel so entitled to a Mercury Prize.
Yeah, you got posed. We didn't say it earlier, but some of those posters up and around, if you haven't seen them, is the lyric.
Bob Vylan got robbed for the Mercury. Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, because you know, but like I have to believe that within myself. Do you know what I mean? I have to believe that like I'm creating something that is worthwhile. Otherwise, what's the point of me doing it? But also, yeah, like so many people didn't believe in the band, and I tried for so long to get people to believe in the band, but actually I didn't need that. What I needed was for me to believe in it, and that's it. And so when I stopped focusing my attention outward and trying to like make people see the vision that I had, right, and like, oh, trust me, like this is it naturally just like drew people in that did believe in it. And now we have like an incredible team around us of people that understand the vision. So on all fronts, like, you know, our PR, like they understand that we don't have the budget that maybe some of their other artists have, right? Because they might be on a bigger label or whatever. But they believe in us, and we've worked with them for ages, you know, and we've grown together. And so as I'm able to pay them more for the job that they do, I do so. Do you know what I mean? And same with like all of our live stuff. So like, you know, our tour manager / drum tech / life coach is, you know, he's here today, and like he's like, you know, he's incredible help. But like he taught Lil Bob how to play the drums, right? Like that. Yeah. Like
he was Lil Bobby's drum.
Yeah, he
drum
was Lil
teacher.
Bob's drum teacher like years ago. And then, you know, we needed somebody to drum tech, and then we needed somebody to tour manage, and then it just kind of grew. And now he's an instrumental part of the team. And same with like, you know, a photographer and social media person. So like, and our sound person as well, someone like Grant, like we met him just randomly at a day festival that we were doing. And when it came time of like, oh, we need a live sound engineer, we just gave him a call, sat with him, said, okay, cool, we could sit in the van with him for a couple of hours, right? Like he seems like a nice guy. And then it just grew, and this relationship grew, and like they believed in it earlier on, because we believed in it, you know? And I think that's one of the most important things that I've learned, is that you don't need everybody to believe in it. You need to believe in it first, and a handful of people will slowly come to join you, and then it will start to like, you know, branch out, and more people will start to see the vision and see the goal. And also because, you know, nobody champions the crazy thing that's happening until the crazy thing is like this huge thing, right? Like I remember meeting Ed Sheeran when he was unsigned and still playing shows in like bars and stuff, and he had the loop pedal. And Ginger, white kid from Framlingham, which is up the road from Ipswich, which is partly where I grew up. So I met him at a pub in Ipswich, and I saw him doing the show, and people thought he was insane, bro. White ginger kid from Framlingham, singing with the acoustic guitar, but also kind of rapping. Do you know how crazy? Like at that time, it was absolutely insane. People thought he was nuts, and I remember seeing it and thinking, like, I was just blown away, because I was like, wow, how's he doing all of that? Like, I was more focused on the technical thing. I couldn't care what the music sounded like. I was like, how's he doing all of that with just one person? But people thought he was insane. But then it worked. Like, something, you know what I mean? Popped off, and it built and it built and it built. And everybody then was, yeah, Ed Sheeran, like, this guy is so fantastic. Bro, he was on that circuit for years. years,
And people
sleeping
love
on
to say
people's
that.
sofas and that. Like, he was on it for years.
And people say Ed Sheeran did it. Ed Sheeran did the sofa couching, the sofa surfing thing to the stadium thing. He's one in a million. There's people like yourself that may get to the level of Ed Sheeran, but you'll do the sofa thing and then get to a certain level. There's this kind of huge middle ground of artists that don't get to that level. Most people don't. You don't hear about those people. You don't really hear about the people who work the side jobs consistently, who are, you're at a level that you're not working side jobs, are you?
No, I don't work a side job. I wouldn't have time to work a side job and do what I do like now.
So you're at the cream. You're in the kind of probably the 1%.
I feel incredibly lucky. Like, I realize, like, I feel incredibly blessed every single day. Like, I get to do something that I've wanted to do since I was a child, and I've worked at it since I was a child. Do you know what I mean?
You were handing out your own CDs, selling them on the road.
I did all of that. I did all of, like, making mixtapes and all of that, and selling them, and like
Your
did that.
older sister, you were doing something with the karaoke machine, and
Like, my sister taught me how to. My sister taught me how to MC, basically. Like, at a time when it was like grime and stuff like that, my sister taught me how to essentially, like, rap on beat, so I wasn't all over the place. She counted me in, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, here. And I was like, okay, cool, I get it. And then, like, that was when I was a kid. I've been working at this forever. Do you know what I mean? And not a day goes by where I take it for granted. I think I'm incredibly blessed, but obviously a lot of hard work goes into it. Even now, like, the amount of emails that I reply to personally that I'm on, it's not like I'm here, like, I don't know. I would have assumed a couple of years ago, if you have won an award like that, and if you've charted there, and if you play that size venue or whatever, then you no longer do any of, like, the heavy lifting. But I was so wrong. Do you know what I mean? I didn't realize, actually, in order to make it something where I can actually, get by and pay my rent and stuff on, I have to continue doing that heavy lifting. Do you know what I mean? I'll get up and I work every single day. And so little of it is actually spent in the studio making music. Bro, like, so much of it is just spent doing so many things. It's just like accounting, like making sure budgets are in order, making sure invoices are paid, making sure vinyl and CD are getting to the warehouse that they need to get to. Like, all sorts of things, like getting t-shirt designs done, getting t-shirts printed, making sure that the printer has sent the right amount of t-shirts to the right warehouse, all of that stuff. And then, like, when they haven't, it's me chasing it up. It's not anybody else, So all of that stuff, along with, hey guys, new album is coming out, and make sure you get, and then shooting the album cover, coming up with what the album cover looks like, and drawing it out and being like, this is what it's gonna, all of that, as well as making the music. And there was a time when I was mixing it and I was doing all, like, it was just,
Can you remember?
full on.
Can you imagine a world where you didn't have to do all of that? I mean, I'm thinking, like, in Australia and in Canada, they have more supportive systems for musicians.
Right.
The government can give money to help record albums. Britain as a country that's like Oasis, Blur, Stones, Beatles. As an artist now, there is no real support, nurturing, inspirational, like, physical stuff. Just like maybe a dole money or something if you can prove you play a certain amount of shows a year. Just 100 quid a week would make such a difference for thousands of people playing music.
Yeah, I mean, this country doesn't really care about the arts. Like, it doesn't like. I mean, the government of this country doesn't really care about the arts. Like it doesn't value them. That's why the maths teacher is teaching music. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're cutting all of that. They've been cutting all of that. That's why, like, the youth clubs that had like the workshops to learn to DJ or produce or whatever, play guitar, and you can maybe start a band. Well, they're non-existent. It's just the country doesn't really, the government doesn't really care about it, doesn't value it. Remember, was it during COVID when they were like retraining?
Yeah.
The retraining adverts came out, and it's just like, if you were a ballerina, you might want to retrain. If you were a dancer, do you know what I mean? It's like, if you're a musician, you might want to like think about getting a real job. It's like, well, okay, that kind of tells you all you need to know. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't really see it as anything worthwhile. But me, I don't know. It sounds great. I would have so much more time if I didn't have to focus on all of that stuff. But then, I don't know. It is what I know, and so it is what I do. Do you know what I mean?
There's a bigger picture there, I think, as well, because it's not just about the individual musician. It's the label, or it's the booking agent, or it's us coming to shows. Like, there are always going to be different scenes in small towns. If you live in a commuter belt town, and they'll have that one promoter, that guy or girl a few years older than you at school, that puts on gigs at your local community centre, and then they go off to uni or they go live somewhere else, and that scene disappears. Like, what you're saying there about how the government in Britain obviously doesn't care about the arts, that has such a huge knock-on effect to that one 15-year-old in Worthing who needs something to do on a Friday night that keeps them, out of trouble, gives them something creative to do, something positive to look forward to, and try and build a career in the arts. That really comes down to a personal experience of being in the UK.
Yeah, for sure. But I do think to a certain extent, though, is like, if you want to do it, you will do it. Because I didn't have a ton of access to things that like got me to, do you know what I mean? Like that helped me get to this. Like I kind of just had like a delusional attitude towards things of like, no. I see fucking Hanson on the TV and they look about the same sort of, or whatever, do you know what I mean? Like they're all young and singing bop. And I thought, well, if they could do that, then why couldn't I do it? And it was just always that way. I saw So Solid Crew on the TV, and I thought, they're English, they're going to collect their MOBO award. Why couldn't I do that? Why would I not be able to do that? Like, so I do think,
if you want it enough,
to a certain extent, yeah. I mean, like, obviously, things are situational and circumstantial, and like some people, they're going to be in, like, I'm lucky, whatever, I had a sister that would teach me how to rap on beat. If I didn't, maybe I'd spend my whole life rapping off beat. Like, I don't know. So obviously, you never know how like little things might have played a part in the whole bigger picture. But I do think that despite the government's lack of interest or care for the arts, if that's what you want to do, that will not stop you, right? Because when does the government's lack of interest in your life stop you from doing anything else? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I didn't see the government said that like you can't steal. I saw plenty of people teething when I was young. Do you get me? It's like, we don't care, bro.
What's teething?
Stealing.
Right.
It's like, it's not flossing.
Yeah.
He thought we were going on to oral hygiene again. He thought, this is where the big bucks are. But
looking for a new sponsor. Oral B.
Oral B. There you go. Yeah. Listerine.
Oral B sounds quite a good MC name. Actually,
I guarantee you, there's a garage MC out there, someone, or a drum and bass MC called Oral B. Absolutely, Barry. Oral B. His real name is Barry, but as he calls himself Oral B, absolutely guarantee, 100%. Yeah,
I think about band names, and I mean Arctic Monkeys. What a band name.
I don't know. Bob Vylan, fucking hell, bruv. Right, we're stuck with that, haven't we?
I mean, can we say, you've hidden your identity this whole time?
Yeah, I don't know if I've hidden it. Like, I'm not like Batman. Like.
No, but like, people don't know your date of birth, name, or like any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Is that a decision early on? You're like, this is the way we're going to do it.
Ooh, I don't know if it was like a conscious decision. I'm not sure. Like, I can't really remember if it was a conscious decision. But I suppose as things went on, it's just like, if you like the music that we're making, and I'm sat here before you, and like, I don't know, you can find something in what I'm saying, take that as like what I'm willing to give you, and I suppose like be appreciative of that as I am appreciative of what other people give me that they decide to give me. Like, if you go into the coffee shop, then you get your coffee and you have a conversation with the guy or the girl person behind the counter, and you like the coffee in there. You love the coffee in there. You don't need to know where that person grew up, if that person's got a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a husband or a wife, or where they live or what they do on the weekend, or their date of birth, their full name, social security number, all of that. Like, what do you know to know? The coffee's good. Do you get me? If the coffee is good over here, take the coffee. If not, go down the road and get it somewhere else. And that's kind of how I feel with it. It's like, if you like what we're doing, take what we give you. Because I also see there can sometimes be an entitlement that we all have when we feel a connection with someone to know everything about that person. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like that's an unhealthy thing to have. I feel like it's an unhealthy thing to want to know everything about somebody. I also feel like it's an unhealthy thing to give everything to somebody.
Like in a 50-minute podcast.
Exactly. And we're talking about my oral hygiene. Do you know what I mean? But, like, I don't know. Like, so, for example, like, it took a long time for me to bring my daughter on stage, right? Because I kind of, like, that's the most important thing to me ever in this whole entire world. Like, that's my whole life. But then in, Making Dream Big, for example, and I put her on the record, she's on that song, and I don't know, like, we're talking and stuff, and I thought, you know what, it would be nice if we could share some of these moments together that I'm having, and like playing Kentish Town Forum, for example, is like, this is a big moment for me. She's been an incredible inspiration for me and a driving force in me going so hard in making this band work. I thought it'd be nice to be able to share these moments with her if she wants to. And, she was like, yeah, cool, like, I'll come on stage. And like, sometimes she comes to the festivals or the shows or whatever, and she's like, I'm just chilling today. And then sometimes she was like...
You give her the choice.
Yeah. And if she's like, yeah, cool, I'll come up, then she comes up, do you know what I mean? But it took me a long time to do that. But even now, like, she comes on stage, our social media, Rhiannon, our social media person, like, she'll film it and stuff, and she'll give me that footage. But she'll say, in the recap, in the thing of the night, like, do you want her to be in the thing?
Choice.
I say, nah. Like, don't put her in that video. Mm-hmm. It's like, if we were at the show, then we're at the show, and that's what we got to experience all together. I don't want to blast her all over the internet and da. Do you know what I mean? She's a young kid. People on the internet are weird, and like, do you know what I mean? And also, she might say, yeah, cool, like, I don't mind if you post a picture of me on it, but then that's there forever. And so when she gets older, and she might not want that up there. So I'm just mindful of those things. Do you know what I mean?
You're able to curate it and curate your output, and by giving yourself a name and an image, which I don't think is like, I think maybe growing up as punks, you'd be like, oh, I don't want to have an image, but I think the idea of an image can be very powerful because you get to create and show a message. And that's what you do. You do through your music and online, you have messages.
But I don't feel like you know, I don't talk about everything in my life because, again, like, I don't want to, you know, I don't know, like, I don't feel like everybody needs to know everything, but I feel quite fortunate that I don't have to, I don't have like an image to upkeep. Do you know what I mean? Like,
in terms of like political views and
just anything. Like, I don't know. Like, I can't imagine what it's like to be a pop star and you can't go on camera without everything that, like, do you know how I got my hair retwisted for the first time in ages on Wednesday or whatever, because I was like, I've got an album coming out, I should probably look somewhat clean, it gets a bit fluffy and that, do you know what I mean? But I go on camera without it, it's just whatever. I don't have an image to upkeep, and like, the same way that I talk now is the same way that I talk with my friends and thing. I can't be bothered. I just wouldn't, and I wouldn't be able to keep it up. I wouldn't be able to keep it up. And I think that's what we see sometimes, where like the mask slips on an artist or someone that like maybe we're looking up to or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And maybe you go, oh, they're actually really like that. It's like, I'm just Bob. Do you get me? And I don't know. I just get on and just do my stuff and make my music, and some people like it and some people don't, and that's it. I don't know.
I think some things you've said are in your lyrics, like choose between health and your rent.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how that is common sense, but when you say it from a platform, it sounds so radical.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. What do you mean, like the lyric in Health as Wealth, where it's talking about like paying for the rent or paying for the food,
and living in that flat where you had mold and
yeah. You're talking about on Get Yourself a Gun, right, on the new album.
Yeah, and new record.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. I mean, again, that stuff is like that's like real life stuff. So like, you know, when my partner was pregnant, we lived in a flat where there was mold. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you moved in, it was nice, whatever. But then now you realise, and we didn't know shit with kids, with a kid on the way. Do you know what I mean?
You don't know where the boiler is.
Knew nothing, bro. Knew nothing.
Trip switch.
Didn't know how to bleed a radiator. Didn't know nothing, bro. Yeah. And so, you know, like we lived in a flat, no double glazing. I could afford it because I had a student loan that I was, do you know what I mean? Which is really one of the only reasons why I even went to uni, because I was like, I could get a student loan, and I kind of didn't want to continue with some of the career options that I had at the time. And so, you know, we lived in a place, and winter come, double glazing isn't there, and it's just fucking bullshit windows, and there's mold and da-da-da-da-da. And one day we're out, the extractor fan catches fire in the bathroom because the landlord fucking fixed the dodgy one in there with like a handyman that kind of like, he would do everything. You know, like, if one person does every job, they don't know how to do any job, bro. Like, they don't know how to do it. Even I have to delegate certain things. Do you get me? And so I'm like, I see this motherfucker come in and like, he'd be the painter, he'd be that, and he would bleed the radiator, he would change the thing and da-da-da-da-da. Do you know what I mean? Like, he put an extractor fan in the bathroom. We went out, it caught fire, neighbour rung me, yeah, there's a fire at your place, I think there's smoke coming out, we were far away, we come back, see fire brigade is like broken into the house to like extinguish it or whatever, everything's black, walls are black, clothes black, covered in, like, it's a crazy, and we got like a newborn baby at the time, and I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, no one's taught me this. I don't know what to do, and I don't have anywhere to go to. It's like, I don't know. I have nowhere to go, so I don't know what happens now.
That's terrifying.
That's a terrifying thing. Yo, as two kids with with a newborn baby is absolutely terrifying. And the landlord just did not care. I'd never met the landlord before any of this. I never saw him. I was talking to the estate agent, as they like to keep a thing in between. I was, you need to pass me on to the landlord. It's bad in there, bro. Like, there was a fire. You get me? Someone is going to have to come and clean this shit up. And I managed to talk to I was talking to the estate agent, and I was getting quite irate. And I say, look, you don't know what damage has been done in the place yet. So if I go back there and I burn it further, you're not going to know what was done before and after. 5 minutes later, my phone rang, and it was the landlord.
Yeah.
So
You're smart. That's good.
Allegedly.
And we get that from your lyrics.
But that's it. So it's like, it's not like I'm writing it, like, it's real. Do you know what I mean? Like, I got a beef with these motherfuckers. Do you get me? Like,
what were you doing when you were studying? Were you doing part-time jobs then? I mean, music doesn't pay until you get to a certain point. I was seeing you grin there. You're grinning. You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You sell T-shirts.
I did sell T-shirts, yeah. I've always worked for myself. Except, I have had moments. Any actual, look, the work that I've done throughout my life has been honest work. Just because it's whatever, it may fall outside of the realms of what is considered a 9 to 5, does not mean it's not honest work. And I've had moments where I did I worked at a car phone warehouse for about 2 weeks. I worked at a call center for maybe a week and a half. I found it so hard. I worked at a bar for about maybe 2 weeks.
What did you find hard? Was it the time?
Nah.
Was it like, I could be doing something better?
I mean, to a certain extent, but it was more, I suppose, like, the feeling that I had of, like, you see the way people talk to people in like,
in a service scenario.
Oh man, it's just wrong, it can be brutal. Like, I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know how to deal with that.
How do you deal with it though?
I quit, bro.
You tell it to shut up.
Oh nah, no, don't do that. I don't. But that's the thing.
You're not rude.
Nah. I leave before it gets to that point. That's what I had to. I've always had to do that because I that's a skill that I do not have. I don't possess that skill of being like, I don't know. Like, some people, they'll go to work and then, like, they'll come home and they'll be like, my boss is such a dick. They said da 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 da. And I get it. Like, you know, people have to do. You have to do what you have to do. And I've been in those positions. Do you know what I mean? I've done what I've had to do. But I've just always felt like I'll find something else. Like, if I have to stay here and that person is going to talk to me like that, I'll just do something else.
I think a lot of people have the fear that they couldn't do something else.
Yeah, no, I don't have that fear. Like, even if I don't do music, I'll do something else. Whatever I want to do, I can go and do that. I just firmly believe that. And so, and as well, it's like, you know, I was working at Carphone Warehouse, and I just thought, well, I'm not gonna be here forever, and so if I quit today, it doesn't matter. So, you know, and I had a kid as well, but like, I always found a way to to provide, always found a way to make money. And, I took my student loan, for example, and it wasn't like, oh, I was just, I don't know, I weren't like a out and out, like, hooligan, do you know what I mean? Just like, whatever. I was always smart with things. I took my student loan, for example, and I saw vintage clothing was becoming really popular, but vintage designer clothing was becoming extremely popular. And then I'm lucky that my dad, growing up, I saw my dad buying a lot of vintage clothing. Like, it weren't vintage at the time, it was brand new, do you get me? But like, he was buying like a lot of Moschino and a lot of Versace and a lot of Iceberg, and like all of these kind of like cool, like Armani and all of these things. He was a plasterer, so don't ask me how he got the money to do it. So I saw like, oh, okay, these are like, they're nice clothes, right? Like, I was always fascinated by them. And he would give me, I remember he gave me a jacket before, and I was like, yeah, I was a kid. I didn't, but I just knew, yeah, this is nice. And so I took my student loan and I started buying vintage pieces like this one that I'm wearing. This is like this would be from like early 90s. This two-piece.
What is that?
This is Moschino. So I would buy pieces from like eBay. I would go to second-hand shops, like charity shops. I'd find vintage wholesalers, and I would travel around. Like, I was doing all of the jobs. I was buying the clothes, I was sourcing them. I'm trying to make relationships with people that, like, I would be the first person that they ring if they get this thing in.
Who are these people? Like, people we see on the market or shops?
So
who are these folks?
So, like, some of them, like, for example, there was one in South London somewhere. I think it was in Peckham, and it was just like, it weren't too dissimilar to like a space like this. It was just a massive warehouse with just crates and crates of things. And it was like women's wear, men's wear, and I just go through all day. And some days I'll go through and I wouldn't find anything. And some days I'll find one piece, or I'd find a couple of pieces. I'd look on Gumtree, and someone that's like selling their son's clothes or something, like he's moved out and they've just left, I don't know, he doesn't want these things. And I'd travel from whatever, South London where I lived at the time, to North London, or I'd travel to fucking Guildford, wherever it is, and I'd go and pick up one piece. But that one piece was getting sold. Someone wanted, it's a £30. I said, cool, I'll take that £30, and I'll go and sell it for £300 because that's what the market said. Do you know what I mean? And
you're like the Nightcrawler. You're like the Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler of London vintage clothes.
I mean, it's the first time I've been described as such, but I'll take it.
He's a good actor.
Yeah. But that's what I did. So I did that with my student loan, and I made the website, and I made the Instagram account, and like I promoted the website through the Instagram account, and I made it like some people were selling through Instagram. And I always thought, that's dodgy, man. Like, I don't know about people wanting to do that, right? So I made a website because I thought that would look more official. So I made a website. You could pay through PayPal, and that's what I did. And I did that when I was at uni so that I didn't have to get a summer job. I saw everybody else getting a summer job, and I thought, actually, I could do this and I could avoid that. I could just about avoid it if I was very careful, do you know what I mean? And also, it was a little self-serving because I enjoy these clothes, do you get me? So I was like, some pieces I can keep for myself, and then some pieces I can sell and I can make money, do you know what I mean? And then with that, I started to make enough money then that I started printing my own T-shirts. And so I started printing my own T-shirts.
With your own design?
Yeah, with my own designs.
That you made?
Yeah, that I would make on Photoshop and Illustrator. And then I started like a separate website and a separate Instagram account, and used the one that I'd established to promote this one. And because it was easier, because I realized people started clocking on, and like the vintage stuff just got saturated, and it became harder and harder and harder to find pieces, and it became harder to find pieces that I could get for cheap enough to sell for, do you know what I mean, enough to make money. So I thought, okay, cool, if I create my own designs, I could just do as much as I want, do you know what I mean? So that's what I started doing, t-shirts and hoodies. And I did that for a while, and again, that provided me like another year or two of without getting a summer job and stuff at uni, and allowed me to be at home with my partner and my daughter, and not have to go to like an office or, you know, a bar or whatever.
A lot of those skills are transferable to being in a band.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of those skills came from things I was doing before. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just learning these things and figuring out what it is that I can put into what I'm doing now. So maybe one day if, you know, I don't do music, or I'm not in a band, or we don't want to play anymore, what have I learned? And so that's what I'm doing with the record label, with Ghost Theatre, is like everything that I'm doing for Bob Vylan, one day I'll go and do that for other bands as the record label. So learning how to chart register an album, for example, I had no idea how to do that. I had no clue. And I rang everybody to figure out, how do you chart register an album? How do I make sure that if it gets sold, if enough units get sold, it's going to land in the charts? I figured out how to do it, and that was on the last album, On the Price of Life. Lo and behold, it's in the charts.
Number 18.
And so now I know how to do that. So I've, of course, done the same thing with this album. And then when we have someone on the label, on Ghost Theatre, I will know how to do that for them. I won't need to do it for myself anymore, because maybe we're on a hiatus or something, or whatever. And all of these things, putting together things for press, or shooting music videos, or all of this stuff that I've done, I'll use it for other bands.
No one teaches that. I mean, maybe like at some music schools, some music business schools, they teach that. But learning it yourself, and learning to actually like do it and make it work, you know, it is doing what you're doing. You're in the business of inspiring people in a way. You know, I feel like, I mean, I don't want to tell you what your job is, but when I listen to Bob Vylan, I'm like, okay, part of this is to empower people. It's to inspire people to share this kind of knowledge of how to do something good in life.
Yeah, I just think, again, it's that thing of like, when I saw Hanson or when I saw So Solid Crew, which I understand are two very different artists, but like, they're the ones that just made so much impact on me. Like, they left such an imprint on me. But like, when I saw them, I thought I could do that. So I suppose I just hope that if somebody is in a band and or is an artist or whatever, and they see Bob Vylan, I hope that they see us and think, I could do that. Especially because we don't have the label, and we don't have this huge budget, and we don't have all of these things. And like, hopefully somebody sees what I saw and thinks the same thing that I thought, and has that same determination. Do you know what I mean? To do the thing that they love. And I know that you know, it has helped some people do that already, because, you know, I have conversations with people and they express as much. So it's good, and that's kind of like what we should be doing, really, is like inspiring each other to go for the thing that you want to do. Life is so short, bro. It's so short, and I never wanted to spend it at Carphone Warehouse. I didn't want to do that. Do you get me? And like, for some people, that's cool, but I just didn't want to do that. And so I just decided not to quit. And that's really, I think, it's kind of like the main thing, is that I just didn't quit. I didn't quit when everybody was calling me crazy and it's not going to work and all of that. I just didn't quit.
It's becoming more and more out there. Like last week or the week before, there were lots of bands and labels and managers in Parliament at Westminster talking about how do we keep independent venues like the one we're in today a lot, like keep going, because there's so many different venues that around the UK are struggling, and those are scenes, those build up exactly what you do, what I do, what everyone here is a big fan of. Do you have any opinions or big ideas about how we can? I don't want to use the word save. It sounds a bit sensationalist, doesn't it? But how do you keep that stuff at the foresight in the front of people's minds? Because things like that do need the public support.
Yeah, they do, and because they need public support, they should have government support, but we're never going to get that. So we can't rely on it.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
You don't think that they'll, even with a Labour government, none of that stuff will happen?
What Labour government, bro? I don't see no Labour.
Yeah. Keir Starmer's.
You don't see the Labour government around here. I don't see the Labour government, bro. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like. We're not going to get that. We're not going to get governmental help. So it's for us to do for self, right? So, again, like it is, yeah, of course, like the public have to do something, but as artists, we also have to, like, it's for us. It's on us, right? So,
you think it's your responsibility?
Yeah, if you care about independent music venues, then yeah, 100%. Like, if you don't, then no, I guess not. But like, we made our bones playing independent music venues. That's how we came up. Our first show was at the Beehive in Bow, the back of a pub. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's a good pub.
It is. It's all right.
It's scary. I like scary pubs.
It's where we also shot We Live Here. That was the pub that we shot We Live Here in. And like playing 100 Club, for example, like that was a big moment for us. You look on the wall and you see all the artists that have played there, and you're like, wow, they're gonna let me play here. So it's important to make sure that like you're going back to places like that. And obviously it gets hard because there becomes like, that is when the business side of stuff enters and your agent starts to go, well, you can't play that small venue in London because we're going to put on a bigger show in London and that's going to hurt the sales and da-da-da-da-da. But you just, I don't know, it's just like finding clever ways to go about doing that. Do you know what I mean? And so, again, on Friday, we did 2 shows. We did Prism, the bigger venue. Then we did Fighting Cocks the same night. It's 150 cap. Probably the biggest show that they'll have there this year. Do you know what I mean? And everybody's excited. The venue's excited. We're excited because we get to go and play these small venues again where there's no barrier, which is something that we love. And, when you do like a Kentish Town Forum and stuff like that, it's great because you can have the production and we get sparklers and smoke machines and we've got the lights and da-da-da-da. But there's a distance between us and the crowd, and that's, we get used to it, but it's not how we started. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we do Fighting Cocks. There's no barrier, and people are, they're like pushed onto the stage or what can be considered a stage. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas with Prism, there wasn't that, mm-hmm. And you saw 2 very different shows, both enjoyable in their own way. But Fighting Cocks, that's a great night for everybody. Do you know what I mean? And for the venue, it's brilliant. So finding ways to do that is, I think it is important for artists that did make, especially if you did make your come up was through those smaller venues, then yeah, it's definitely important. Some artists, they don't have that history, right? Like their first show was, I don't know, supporting fucking Rolling Stones or something because so-and-so is their manager and whatever, I don't know, like, but we didn't have that. We built it so slowly through these venues. So for us, it's important, and we're like would you call it, like patrons of the music venue trust.
Yeah.
And you know, like I spoke at one of their events a couple of years ago, and like, you know, they email us regularly, and we try to find things that we can help with, and you know what I mean, when we can, and when it makes sense. But yeah, like little things, they go a long way. We can't rely on the government to help us with that. I do think it is on the artists, and I don't know, we'll continue to find ways to do that, and hopefully other bands will, and we can maybe stop, but at the very least slow down the speed by which some of these venues are closing. Do you know what I mean?
Can you imagine a world in 20 years' time, 50 years' time, totally plausible, that bands won't be playing at the Beehive, or bands won't be playing at Fighting Cocks?
I don't know. I suppose if those venues are not there, then yeah, of course. But like, I don't know. People are always smaller bands are always going to need somewhere to play, right? Like, if you can fit 50 of your friends and friends into a room, the 100-cap room at the back of the pub is perfect for you, right? And it's perfect for you to work out like the kinks in your set, and you know, like how you interact with the crowd and all of that sort of stuff that you don't get in a rehearsal room. And so there's always going to be a need for those places, and there's always going to be bands that are happy to play them, because you can't fill 500 people in this room or 2,000 people in that room. So I don't know, but it is sad, obviously, when you see these venues getting shut down, and it seems like there's not really much you can do about it. But again, I just think it is for the artists to figure out ways to help, and maybe as well, it is for those venues as well to like figure out other things that they can do with the space, right? Like
vintage T-shirts.
There you go. But again, like something like that, well, like, you know, if the space ain't making enough money bringing in bands, have a vintage market, or have a fit. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, do like figure, like there's always something you can do. I've found that there is always something you can do to keep the lights on.
Craft beer.
Fuck knows, bro. But like, you know what I mean? A sourdough making workshop, bruv. Like, you have a room, it's a space. People need a space to do something. Yoga class, whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But like, I do know that you can't wait for anybody to save you. I know that much. And you definitely can't wait for the government to save you. So, I don't know, you better save yourself. Help yourself. Because it's cold out there, bro.
Hey, Bobby, thanks so much for this chat. We're getting just past 9 o'clock, which is the cut-off time. But thank you so much for being up for this. I think,
thank you.
You know, I am going to say this because it's my night, but these conversations are important, because this is how we, you know, since the dawn of time, this is how, as a society, as a species, this is how we function, by communicating and being together ultimately. Because I think now, you know, more and more, we are more alone and looking at our screens inside and not going out or hearing stories. So I appreciate the time. Thanks.
I appreciate you. Have you lot enjoyed it? Are we doing a Q&A?
Yeah.
A Q&A?
Yeah. Has anyone got a question they'd like to bellow out?
If you have questions, if not, we won't force it.
Man on the right.
Why don't we play more gigs in London? Because again, what I was saying about the agent, yeah, he goes, oh, you can't play that show there because we're going to put a big one on at the end of the year and it's going to hurt the sales. And you know what? Sometimes you got to listen to him because that's his job. And like, essentially that's what he makes his money from doing. So I'd be a fool not to listen to him. Do you know what I mean? But again, there are certain little things that we do. Like last year, for example, we did like a Vylan social. It was like our first Vylan social. Were you there? We're going to do the second one this year. I guarantee we're going to do the second one this year. So it's not a show, but in London, again, we found it was a little brewery, and it's called Werewolf Brewery in Camden. And we just brought people there, didn't have to pay to get in. We had some hot sauce on sale. We had T-shirts if you wanted to, but also you could just come, hang out. We'll sign some stuff if you got stuff you want signed, have a chat, have a drink, community, take a photo, build a community. Exactly. The brewery loved it because, you know, it was like, it would have been a quiet night otherwise. And we loved it because we get to interact with people that like our music resonates with them, and they get to hang out and take photos with a band that they like. So
and it
it's
didn't
like
take too much effort.
Nah,
Not too much organisation.
I weren't doing nothing else on that. What else? I weren't doing nothing else on that Friday or Saturday. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna be sat at home. Well, I could be. It was a nice sunny day. We're hanging out, bro. Yeah. Like to me, that's a better use of time. You know. But why don't we do more shows in London? That's why, because you know Ross at UTA is like, we're putting a big one on at the end of the year. So I'm like, oh, cool. Ross, we're putting a big one on at the end of the year.
We got time for one more question. There was a hand at the back there, if you want to shout it out. He's asked it already. I've got one. Was there like one moment when you thought, this changes everything? It was a day or a period of time where something happened. Maybe it was something stuff that people were telling you, or maybe you saw it in the mirror, metaphorically, and you thought, this changes everything. My life's going to be different now.
I don't know if there was one moment, but when lockdown happened, I did actually have a normal job. Or before lockdown happened, I had a normal job. When lockdown happened, I no longer had that normal job. And then I thought, okay, well, this is kind of the perfect opportunity for me to go full on with music. It was like I'd been recording and making so much music, and it was all kind of sat there, been putting out little bits. But when lockdown happened, I said, okay, this is now the time. It's the perfect time. Everybody is sat still. So we put out We Live Here, the video, and it started to work. And I saw it. And I saw...
Quickly? Sort of slowly?
I don't know what's quick and what's slow.
I guess 100 plays in a day is...
Oh, yeah. Nah, it got to that point where, like, it was doing like 1,000 or more every day on the video. And I was like, what's happening, bro? I was so blown away. And I thought, okay, the audience is found it. Do you know what I mean? Because we'd been putting out music before We Live Here. We had videos online and everything, but that was like the moment when the audience found the thing that we had been putting out.
You can't force that.
No, and obviously, like we spoke about upstairs, it was because I was wearing the Crass t-shirt and the coat. Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of people saw that thumbnail, which was completely like, again, it was just by chance, and they thought, well, what's this guy know about Crass? Clicked it and went, oh, seems like he knows quite a bit about him. So, you know, it worked out. And I think that was the moment where I was like, cool, it's like, now is the time. You know, now is the time. Like, and we just, boom, started getting things in order and put the album out, and then... Rough Trade got in contact, and then it was Album of the Month there, and we started selling vinyl and CDs, and I was like, whoa, okay, this could be a thing. And that's when I started thinking, yeah, now is the time to switch all of my attention onto this thing, and purely onto this thing.
Big time. Hey, thanks so much. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
It's Bob Vylan. If
you enjoyed this chat, make sure you subscribe to 101 Part-Time Jobs for more. We've done episodes with Idols, Yard Act, Self-Esteem, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and so many more. We put out 2 episodes every week, and we'd love to have you there. Subscribe to 101 Part-Time Jobs on Spotify, Apple, and everywhere you get your podcasts.